Hey, Spuddies, PotatoMcWhiskey here, and welcome to another Saving Your Disaster. This one is a bit wibbly and wobbly, I'm not gonna lie. It's an awkward one. Right now, the big problem is that you didn't handle your diplomacy properly. Georgia declared war on you. That's a big problem. You know, the second most important part of this big problem is that you let Georgia spread their religion to you when they've got the crusade belief. Now, sometimes... Alright, I don't always do this, but you should throw down a holy site somewhere with a religion you're more amenable to, like Judaism here, or perhaps, I don't know what is over here, Eastern Orthodoxy is absolutely not the religion you want right now. So I would have maybe thrown down a holy site. You always want to be checking because you're going to get wrecked by these Kevsers. Now look at these Kevsers, okay? 78 combat strength, alright? 10 of that's coming from Crusade, 7 of it's coming from their combat strength. They've also got Oligarchy. These units are going to wreck you. That is a unit with 48 base strength getting 30 total extra combat strength. Now, all is not lost. I don't know why you're building warriors, okay? Don't build warriors. What you need right now are crossbows. How are you going to get walls in here? You're never getting these walls. This is very optimistic. What's going on here. Now, the only big advantage you have right now is that Georgia could potentially be at war with someone like Gilgamesh. I don't know what happened to Gilgamesh. They're having a real bad game this game. Greece is your ally. So the big thing what we want to do here, most likely, is try to find someone who knows Georgia and hates them, who likes us, that we can get a military alliance with. Okay, we have a military alliance with Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh, will you join my war? So it looks like Gilgamesh peaced out recently and he won't join my war. That's fine. Rome, I'm gonna sell you a bridge. And by bridge, I mean some luxuries. So I'm gonna sell Rome a bunch of stuff to pick up a bit of his gold. And the reason why we're picking that gold up so that we could come down to one of these barb camps and immediately buy a line infantry unit, because this person does have the barb clan modes enabled. So we buy a line infantry. Now, why is that important? It's important because now we have a unit that can actually fight. Also, you never secured an iron this game. There is 0 iron inside your empire, which is fair enough. Reasonable reason to not have iron. But this line infantry is going to be a great help. These warriors are pretty terrible. I'm just going to retreat them. They may be useful if we can upgrade them, but they should just retreat from the front line. Now we have to pick and choose our ranged attacks very carefully. Now, Inuk, almost certainly dead, okay? What we can do is delay. That's what we can do here. We can delay. Now, losing Inuk is pretty bad. You have a campus, even a you said you're going for a science victory, but your science is pretty terrible. You have seemingly not prioritized settling. Like, it's turn 165 and you don't have that many cities. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cities. With this amount of land, I would be expecting more cities. Did you not get a Renaissance Golden Age or something that you could buy them with? Like, you have really, really good gold income and you're in a really good position. But let me go through your empire here. This Suez city is fine. It's planned reasonably. You have a harbor coming. You have 3 tiles improved. That's fantastic. Really well done here. You're working on the important thing. I would maybe go for a granary first as well in here, so that you could place another district down to save you a little bit of money. But I honestly, I think Kothon first is fine here, especially because you get it at half price when you're playing this Civ. I think the logical consequence of what you're planning to do here is to put an industrial zone there, which is really smart. This is a really well-made city. I will agree with you there, but you're in war. So you may have to redirect some of your energy towards things like pikemen and crossbowmen. Now, the Kevser, I believe, is a swordsman replacement, and our best use case against that is crossbowmen. So we want to ideally have crossbowmen ready. I think a very obvious thing we do here is we kill this catapult. This reduces the amount of damage our city stuff can take. And then we work on killing this catapult here as well. Let's have a look at the promotions you took. You took Arrow, Storm, and Volley. You should have taken Garrison on this guy. It gives him a lot more combat strength. I mean, it's fine what you've done here, but we get rid of the catapults because those do the most unrestricted damage to the city. And then we start clearing out the weaker units. You're never killing these Kevsers. They're just going to level up from you shooting them. So kill the weaker units like Knights and Swordsmen. What we also need to do now is start taking tiles away from this city. Because this city is following the wrong religion, taking tiles away from it will give them less tiles where their combat strengths apply. So I could show you that here. See this guy? I took away his crusade belief and now he's 10 combat strength weaker than this guy on the hill. Or at least ideally that should be how it works. It seems to not have updated yet because he started the turn on that tile. This Kevser is a big problem for you. Not gonna lie. The city is dead. Almost certainly. It's following his religion. All you have is an archer. I don't know why you're sending a crossbowman here. You can very easily deal this with naval units. You have Zhang He and you haven't used him. You should just throw him down. Throw him down somewhere. You want that extra trade route. All right, so chances of survival of this city are very low. Empire-wise, your planning is fine. You haven't placed enough campuses and actually built them. Like, why are you planning these theater squares? I don't understand. Why not just make campuses? Science is your main goal, so I don't know why you have all this planned. Production-wise, your empire sucks, okay? I gotta be real with you. You have good growth, but terrible production. You've easily improved mines here, easily improved. Now, I don't know when you unlocked Niter. It probably wasn't too long ago, considering you're trying to rush musketmen to try to survive this, which is probably the right move. The problem is you're just in a position where you're almost certainly going to lose due to the fact that, you know, it was decisions you made earlier. Just seriously not enough production is your issue here. You have tiles, like here is fine. This is fine. This city is mostly fine. The city is massive. So I'm going to assume here, based on the size of this city relative to your other cities, that what you did was you rushed the Kothon and maybe settled like a couple cities and didn't like start settling really until you had the ancestral hall card. That's always a mistake. You get your cities out as soon as possible and only delay for a little bit for milestones. I know the Kothon gives you extra boosts here towards your settler production, but that doesn't mean you have to like beeline it blindly. Okay, you want to play smart, not kind of shoot yourself in the foot. I'm just picking cities that have good production to get crossbows. This city is in pain. I think it's getting hit by this volcano or something. So there's very little we could do in the short term to help this situation, except appoint Victor into the city, and 3 turns from now, he'll give the city +5 combat strength, and then we can also get garrison commander, and then Pingala can go into our capital instead. I don't know why. Okay, so Pingala scales off city population. Liang just gives you agriculture. I don't know why you have Liang in this city when you're not even using fisheries, and it's 15 population compared to a 10 population city. You could be getting 5 more science and culture from having Pingala placed in your capital. It's just not the obviously better move. Liang doesn't have to go anywhere right now because we don't have a use for her. Not gonna lie, things are pretty dire for you right now. The one thing you do have is that you have diplomatic options with some of the AIs. Okay, this guy is broke, but he does have iron. He won't trade me the iron though. Damn. So fortunately, he's broke. Can I get him? He won't join my Tamar war. Any more barb camps that I could hire stuff from? No, they're all selling naval units, which sucks. But I do have a line infantry. Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, this city is dead next turn. Try to escape with our units. Now, the good news is once he takes that city, it actually makes our life easier to fight him. I know that sounds crazy, but he'll no longer get the crusade belief. We've killed a unit. This guy is never escaping. There's no way to escape, so we just do damage. Might be able to get this guy out though. I'm gonna see if the AI will sell me some Diplo favor. So I can get a little bit of Diplo favor off you. I can get a little bit of Diplo favor off of you. And a little bit of Diplo favor off of you to try to pass this military emergency. If we can get that military emergency passed, that'll make my life easier. So yeah, production is still your biggest problem. You just do not have enough of it. Now the good thing is you do have gold. A big problem, what city is this owned by? KTY? Yeah, that's what I thought. So you must have, what I expect you did this game was you probably like settled like Baruda and KTY and Inuk and stuff like that. I don't know exactly. He didn't really give me a lot of information. There's no chops here, nothing to improve. I'm going to trade with Greece for the extra science and gold. Greece is, by the way, just dumping on you this game. I'm just going to say that now. It's not going well for you. So this city is dead. And in all honesty, it's very unlikely that we get it back. Military emergency, let's pray that it passes. Failed. God damn it, I needed like just a little bit more Diplo favor. That's okay. The good news is, look here, right? Their units are a little bit weaker. They're no longer benefiting from Crusade. And if we could get a unit into that city, like a line infantry, we could in fact retake it. We can kill that knight right there. Sacrifice my crossbowman to kill a knight. Possibly worth it. Retreat the builder. Trade with Athens for gold. Okay, so they got my builder and they captured a unit. The good news is these cities do not follow the religion. Step here and shoot. You run away. Shoot and shoot. We can save this game, I reckon. It's going to require some very, very careful defensive play. Step that line infantry there and hold that position. Okay. All right, so he's trying to kill my line infantry and he was successful. That's okay, because that was a unit that we purchased. And now we're going to get counter kills on these Kevser. This crossbowman does have to retreat, however. Be another 11 turns until we can buy that. Yeah, this just really comes down to failing to manage your diplomacy and not being prepared for war. Not thinking about what religion they had, all this sort of stuff. But you had an encampment, but you had no plan to defend this city if they attacked. And this is like such a good city too. I really do think that this particular disaster, now that I've played around with it a little bit, there's actually very little you can do to defend against this. We could maybe stall them out a little bit and nail ourselves a a stalemate and just sacrifice that city, that's probably the best outcome for you, because all the rest of your cities lack any sort of walls. She won't peace for 3 turns. If we could get Sumeria in on the war, it would make my life a little bit easier. I can get him in for 1 gold, which means I now do +5 combat strength damage against these Kevser. These Kevser are now looking a lot weaker, especially now that they're coming down onto flatland, to the point where like my basic warriors can actually tank them. You've also let this barb camp has been here way too long. I don't know what you've done. You should have dealt with this a long time ago, because this thing is just spawning and now it's going to destroy all your trade, which kills your income. Seriously, deal with unless you're going to upgrade it, deal with it fast. So we have +10 combat strength now from the adventures of Enkidu and the military alliance with Sumeria. That +10 combat strength means our crossbowmen now can actually fight this. Ah, man, that's disgusting. They already got walls back up in that city. That's fucking gross. Yep, unfortunately, I think you just weren't prepared for war, and that's just going to ultimately cost you the game, because there actually is no way for you to stop this onslaught. Their units are too strong, and there's too many of them. Here's the problem. You sent me the save file from when things went wrong, but I needed the save file from like 10 turns ago, or 20 turns ago. This is the big problem. This is why I always recommend, if you're going to send me a disaster, set your turns between autosaves something fairly low, like between, 4 and 1, and keep all of them. That way you can be like, oh, you know what? Things went wrong exactly on this turn. But see, it's the big problem with Civ is that it's often very hard, because there's so much momentum to a game. It's very hard to sort of crowbar a game in a different direction, because by the time the crisis happens, there's actually very little you can do, because Civ is all about the game, about preparation. So this is just an absolute disaster here. The best we could hope for is piecing her out and settling a bunch of cities to along like North Africa to try to win out true signs. That's your best route to victory. You can still win this game, but the reality is the decisions you've made way too long ago are holding you back. Like, for example, you never got your campuses up. Like, you have very, very few campuses for how many cities you have. 1, 2, 3, and they're not very well built up. Like, you don't even have universities. You obviously, in all of these cities, went for harbors first, which is understandable. But if you're going for a harbor first into campus play, you have to get your basic buildings. You don't even have, like, monuments and stuff in some of these cities. You don't even have your granaries. You have to play super hard for the late game, and you have to find a source of science early, which is usually Pingala, which you did do. To be fair, he just got neutralized. Oh my god. Yeah. I don't think this one is savable, but I think it's just a matter of, like, you have the fundamentals down. You didn't build your campuses early enough. Like, you've got built campuses here. There's no libraries or universities in them. Get your libraries and universities. You've got scaling off of these buildings from your city-states. It's so important. You have one trade city-state, whereas you have 2, 3, 4 science city-states. Boom. I plug this into Fez, and now every single university that I could build. Wait, oh, do you have some kind of mod installed here? What's going on here? What version of the game are you playing on? You must be playing on some old rules or something. Why are these city-states so weird? I don't know what version of the game you were playing on, or like what's going on here, but yeah, you're scaling so hard off libraries and stuff like that, and you haven't even built them. Yeah, this is unsavable just due to, like, not enough production. That's your problem. You don't have enough production, you didn't handle your diplomacy, you didn't take care of Georgia, you didn't make friends with Georgia. Listen up. The most important thing in the game is to make sure your neighbors like you. If your neighbors like you and you can secure a friendship with them, you can basically build 0 military and just go hard for your win condition. Yeah, I don't know what version of the game you were playing in that, like, because even my standard version has these updates. I don't know. Like, I need to figure out, like, what rule set is going on here that's causing your city-states to be weird. Yeah, I don't understand why your city-states have, like, the really old way of working. So in future, I would recommend just send me a Gathering Storm file. I don't know why this file is, like, modified or something. It's weird. In terms of feedback, let's go through and do some feedback of the actual empire. So I reloaded the start of this. This city is just dead. There's nothing you could do, and most likely, actually, this entire northern section of your empire is dead, down to Tyre. And the only cities you're keeping are Tyre, Shadet, Suez, Saburton, and Lipquai and Ziz. Otherwise, everything here is dead. There is nothing you can do. That's reality. Like, you've done good things. Like, you built walls and stuff like that, and you got this. But I think the big lesson here for you is to pay attention to religion from now on. Like, who has Crusade? Because it's Crusade that killed you here. And also, you had an alliance with this guy, but you didn't have him in the war. Or maybe you did, because I see one of his cities was flipped here, and maybe some of these were his cities. But I can only assume you'd be able to hold this war off no problem if you had a little bit better prep work. Make sure you're spending your unit. Like, if you're in a high gold game like this and you have Barbarian Clans mode on, make sure you're constantly buying enough units from these things, like these barb camps. I don't know if your barb camps are meant to have progress. None of them seem to have any. Maybe that's erased with the city-state conversion disabled. Okay, there's something really weird going on with this save file. But yeah, just, I don't know. Don't waste your time on these, right? These are pointless. Don't waste your time on theater squares in a cultural game. Or sorry, in a science game, I mean. Don't waste your time on planning all this. The only thing you care about are campuses, a trading district, then maybe amenities and production. That's it. That's all you care about. Everything else is just extra. When you're settling a coastal city, usually it's a good idea to go granary before the harbor. Especially if you already have a builder in there, because the builder takes care of the tiles being workable, and the granary gives you the population growth that you need to be able to work those improved tiles. So you do builder granary in a brand new coastal city, and then you follow that up with a harbor, and you'll end up with a much more productive city much more sooner. Because right now, basically all of the surplus food in the city is going to waste, and you could also, ideally be working these two tiles, and that makes a significant difference. 2 production in the city is huge. Let's go ahead and load up another game here. This is a Rome game. All right, so what is happening here? Now, you said Poland is winning a culture victory. So this sort of problem, it's again this problem of identifying. You have to identify the problem early enough. If you don't identify the problem early enough, there's nothing you can do about it. So that's why you lost this culture victory, and you're in a science race, which is fine. But the problem is it's turned 3-1-3. You are playing on deity, but you should have won the game already. Especially, okay, where does your capital spawned here? And I can only assume that this was like your second or third settle. With this kind of a science boost early game, like, that's insane. Let's have a look at how you planned your empire here. All right, you've got some pretty good campuses. That's not bad, not terrible. Good harbors. Really good tile improvements, so I'm quite happy with that. You also got Mausoleum, which is well played. If you got Mausoleum, sometimes it's worth it to consider. I don't like this. 2 farms together. Never. General rule of thumb: only ever build farms in groups of 3s in a little triangle. So like this extra farm here is a waste. This could have been a lumber mill with conservation. This extra farm here is a waste. This could have been a lumber mill with conservation. This is fine. You have your spaceports. Yeah. So when you're winning the game, what you have to do is like be checking this and be like, okay, how am I going to lose this game? Now, it's very rare that you're ever going to lose a domination victory to the AI. It just doesn't happen. They don't really snowball to domination. Very rare you're ever going to lose a religious victory. It just tends to not happen. The AI fights each other with religion a lot. It is quite common to lose in a diplomatic victory, which it looks like you potentially could lose here to a diplomatic and a culture victory. The 3 most common ways to lose the game are culture, science, and diplomacy. That's how you're going to lose in 85% of your games when it gets to the late game. Now, sometimes you lose because you get attacked or whatever, but if it goes late, that's how you're going to lose. So you need to start thinking around turn 150. Who is going to be the big problem with culture this game? Now, Poland's making 543 tourism per turn. That's scary. That's scary when you have only 139 culture. You're not in the driver's seat. You're absolutely not in the driver's seat when it comes to culture. What you needed to do was maybe 150 to 100 turns ago, you should have found a player who has higher culture than you, immediately declare a friendship with them, try to get a cultural alliance, and send every single trade route you have to them so you can give them more tourism. Then you need to start sending as many spies as possible to the player who's causing you the issue. You have 1 spy here stealing. That's good. Another option is to steal their great works and sell them to another player. Where is Poland's tourism coming from? That's what I'm curious about. Let me have a look here. They have national parks. They have a lot of great works. I can only assume that Poland just has an absurd number of great works. No, they actually don't. Poland did not get that many great works this game. I'm really surprised by that. Because like if you look at great writers, actually, that is quite a lot. Great artist, great musician. Yeah, so I wouldn't have spies over here. Honestly, 100 turns ago, if I was identifying that Poland might win a culture victory, which you can usually tell really early into the game, which civ is going to be a problem culturally, I would have just made plans to kill Suleiman. I would have made plans to kill Mongolia, because how tourism works is that Poland steals tourists from every player in the game. If that player doesn't exist, you take away a bunch of their tourists. You see this here, right? See the way we have like 3, 2, 2, 2, 3 with each player? That means roughly each player in the game is holding 20% of this number right here. So what happens if one of those players dies? This number goes down by 20%. So if you kill another player, they have to wait at like longer than 25% more, because not only have you wiped out 20% of their tourists, they have to now earn it at a 25% slower rate because, or 20% slower rate, because you killed one of the players that they were generating tourists again. Now you never want to kill Lautaro here because he's the guy who's protecting you from your culture victory. What you want to do with Lautaro is get him as many great works as possible, get a cultural alliance with him, trade with him as much as possible. I think he might be culturally allies with Poland, which is a bit of a, no, he actually hates them. Yeah, big diplomacy mismanagement here. Generally just an empire mismanagement too. Like, you have such a good extensive empire, but I don't know, dude. Lugundum? Like, what is this city? But I guess it is kind of looks like a crappy late game city or something. But I don't know what you're supposed to do with that. Ostia here. You're running campus research grants, that's right. You have all your memes. Are your cities powered? This area over here isn't powered. Get a power plant. Coal, oil. Oh, you ran out of coal. I mean, you have oil power plant, boom, slap it down. Power the city. Remember, a ton of the value of a research lab is locked up in that powered part. And the only thing that matters when you're going for a scientific victory is pushing hard for as much science as possible. I assume you've done the moon landing. Yeah, you've done the moon landing and you're only at conservation with the moon landing. That's pretty bad. What should happen is you should be somewhere between like urbanization, like civil engineering, urbanization, and ideology. You should be somewhere here when you trigger the moon landing. And then you should immediately boost all the way up to something like this, right? Globalization, that 5% science per city-state you're suzerain of. Then you're making 15% more science from these. Let's have a look. You have your, I assume you have your diplomatic quarter and stuff. I see you built theater squares thinking, oh, I need culture to protect myself. That's not what you need to do. So you don't build theater squares to protect yourself in a game where someone is winning a tourism victory. What you need to do is you need to kill your neighbors. You need to kill your neighbors. You need to find someone who has stronger culture than you, get a cultural alliance with them, and you need to be ready. You need to be paying attention. You need to explore. This tech here, cartography, should be a really big priority for you in most science games where you're on a continents map where you have any sort of coastline. Because like if you look at your coastline, you have a decent number of fishing boats, right? And cartography gives you +2 gold per fishing boat. So that's just extra value. And this also allows you to embark onto these ocean tiles. So you could just grab like old obsolete units and go scout around and then use your knowledge of all of these players to figure out, okay, who is my threat this game? So really there is no way to save this, but I don't think you wanted me to save it. I think you generally played well. Like if I look at your empire, you've got your government plaza, you've got your diplomatic quarter, you've got your this, you've got that, you've got this. Like the city has good amenities. It's making 100 production per turn. The problem is you should be in this position that you're in 60 turns ago. That's really what it comes down to. So to me, that looks like an optimization problem. I don't know. You did get your government, you got your tier 3 Royal Society. So I mean, you actually generally know how to play, which I think gives you a lot of credit, right? You know how to win games. You know how to play correctly. There's very, very few mistakes here. The only thing you messed up is not identifying a threat. That's it. That's all that you messed up on. You didn't identify the threat. And then by not identifying the threat, you also didn't respond to the threat correctly, which is the second part of that. But otherwise, I have no objections to what you've done here. What I would maybe have done differently is I would have settled my cities a little bit closer together. You have a lot of cities where there's 4 tiles or 5 tiles in between your cities. Like if I look here, Rome and Mediolanum, 1, 2, 3, 4. This could be 3 tiles, and then you could maybe cram another city up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 tiles between Puteoli and your capital. Puteoli could have been settled coastally, could have been settled somewhere else. You could have settled this here. I guess with Preslav it makes it harder, but you could have settled like here and here and here and here and here. You could have had like, you could have probably 3 to 4 more cities in here based on the spacing you've done. Like let's just do a hypothetical. I'm going to assume that you settled in your capital location. Okay, you settled in place. You spawned on the edge of tundra. It's a pretty shit start. That's fair too. You also had a really bad start, and I assume, yeah, you went for the free builder. This Pantheon is dog shit unless you know exactly what you're doing. I assume you got value out of it, but you almost always want to go for something else. I think Aquilia is in a reasonable spot. I probably would have settled Mediolanum 1 tile to the right. I probably would have settled like Sedia here instead. and then I've been able to get another city like 1, 2, 3, like here. I would have had another city there, then you'd probably most likely be able to cram like 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, a city adjacent to this lake, like on that deer tile. Then you could aqueduct to that, and there'd probably be another city, 1, 2, 3, another city up here. Pudioli probably could have been settled one tile to the left at least. Then you could get 2 more cities in here. So I think your city positioning, you need to be thinking about how do I maximize the number of cities I can get? Because remember, your entire empire scales off the number of city centers you have. Because every city center you have, you could build another campus. Okay? Every campus you can build scales off of scientific city-states. Oh, wow. Actually, it looks like you just got fucked. Never mind. You had 0 scientific city-states this game. You just got RNG'd out. If you had had like 1 or 2 scientific city-states that you could have built a relationship with, you would have had like 100 more science per turn. Easily. Let's have a look at your government. Let's check it out. What's your government doing? All right, you got drill manuals. This is a terrible card. Never plug it in unless you're obviously out of coal, which you are, but otherwise it's fine. Integrated space cell, that's fine. Levy en masse. Do you actually have an academy or a seaport? You don't have a seaport in here. How many spaceports did you build? 1? Yeah, okay, so that's a criticism there. This card does nothing for you. You don't have a military academy or a seaport. Levy en masse, that's fine. Probably better cards to plug in. What is your government? Communism is fine. Sometimes it's worth to go democracy. Communism is fine for that 10% science boost. Rationalism? Oh. You need to have 5-year plan in, dude. That's 13 science and 19 production you're missing out on there. Rationalism is great, don't get me wrong, but 5-year plan is also really, really good. Let's just unlock this so we can kind of talk about it. Machiavellianism, pretty good. I would also be looking at things like colonial taxes. Another thing you can do, if you want to slow down, another way to attack someone who's running away culturally is to like offer to buy their great works. Okay? 25 gold per turn might not seem like much, but remember, you're hurting them twice. Okay, so sometimes a strategy to do is say like, hey, I'm going to buy both these great works of writing off you, and then you immediately just go to whoever is doing the best in culture and just give them to whatever they will pay, just give it to them, because now I have lowered the amount of tourism that Poland is generating, and I've increased the amount of culture that the Mapuche are generating, which makes it take longer for Poland to win. So those are other ways that you can prevent this. But otherwise, yeah, generally, I think you played pretty well. I would have settled more cities. I would have maybe rolled better on my city-state RNG. And you got to identify this problem way earlier into the game. So hopefully this quick little disaster game gave you guys a few tips. I love you all very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!